Okay, welcome back to the shop. It's been a few days. I did get kind of sick, a little cold. Nothing big, just sinus. I'm over it now, I think. I'm pretty close to being over it. So we're back in the shop, and where we left off, we got all our kerf lining in. We're about ready to put the, oh, and we sanded everything. It's all to the final thicknesses. Now we're at about 1 5/16. The one thing we do still need to do is, I've got this little seam, this little gap, where I should have cut them right and I didn't. So we're going to work out a patch for that, and I just got to figure out how to hold this thing. I think I have a rough idea. So what I'll do is I think I'm going to clamp it to the bench about like this. And then you'll see I can run a jig or a template or something over this area. So the first thing I'll do is just temporarily grab it with this quick grip clamp, and then I run to the other side. And this is just so I can keep the handle of the clamp out of my way while I work on things. Now I've got a clamp over here. Well, I've almost got a clamp over there. Now it's not going anywhere. So basically what I'm going to do is route a channel just the width of this binding and put in a little strip. I'll probably have to put in a few shims underneath to build up enough to get the binding to sit flush. And with any luck, keep it centered as well. And I think I'm going to do a like a right angle fixture of some kind, and we'll bring you back when I'm ready for that piece. All right. Well, I didn't film it because it was my first shot, and if something went wrong, it would have been silly to film anyways. But I cut out a piece of angle aluminum, and I put a big slot in the middle of it using the milling machine that I just got. Worked really well. Took a little while, but it worked pretty well. So what this is like a saddle square kind of thing with a slot, and then I've got in my Bosch Colt a 1/2-inch template guide bushing, and it, thanks to the machining, slots right in here beautifully. What's a good angle for you guys? Maybe like that. And now I'll put a 1/4-inch router bit in there and use that to cut a slot with pretty good accuracy. If anything, it'll be a little undersized, and I can use files and things to widen the slot. But just to know, quick and dirty thing, throw together. All right, so we've got the little saddle square template thing here, clamped on, centered nicely. We've got a down cut spiral bit that's 1/4-inch in the router. It's set a little shallow right now. I want to do a quick test pass, see how well it does, make sure I keep things, you know, aligned and whatnot, and then we'll just nibble our way down until we're at depth, assuming this works. I want to make sure the width is nice and all of that sort of stuff too. So, okay, a little bit noisy now. Alright, that'll do it. That is the slot. Now all I got to do is make a couple of bits of shimmy stock to put in there. That'll fit that nicely, and then we can glue all that together. So the next steps will be to get some shimmy stock going in there somewhere. Let's find, we'll probably do it with a little bit of mahogany or something. We'll see. We'll bring you back when I'm ready to do that. Okay, so we have the shim in place. I've spared you some of that fitting time. Took a little bit of time to do. We decided instead of the binding, I'm going to use the same stuff I'll use for the fretboard markers. The fret markers are going to be this perloid stuff that Gibson used way back when. And I'm going to just getting it fit here. So since I spared you the boring fitting of the shim, I'm going to force you to sit through some of the fitting of the actual inlay. And it's about a 1/16 over, so I got a little ways to go here. right there. I think that's good. Actually, no, right there, just a tiny little bit. That could be gunk in the slot here. See how that looks now. Yeah, take a little bit more. That's better. Yeah, I think we're pretty pleased with that. Let's see if I get a any better fit this direction. Yeah, like that, just like that. Okay, so now we're pleased with that. I'm gonna take some sort of a bit to clamp with here, to push down on it. It's just leftover kerfing that it didn't get sliced all the way. I think we're ready to just throw some glue on here. What I'm trying to decide is how I want to deal with squeeze out. Ah, I got it. This will do. These have packing tape on them, and they are just barely wide enough to work as a caul. Okay, these have packing tape, so the glue won't stick to that. Okay, we're gonna fill the crap out of this. I'm gonna cover this slot. I'm gonna find a, maybe I'll find a brush, maybe I won't. That should be enough. Pull everything together here. You guys hear me? Yep, you can hear me. Sometimes I forget to turn on my mic and you guys get comedy. Not this time. Okay, slide it around a little bit, get a little glue coverage on that thing. And then we'll take a clampity clamper clamp caul here, and we'll take this. This clamp fits right between the two horns. I'm going to move that caul up just a little. Get that caul nicer. Get the clamp in the right place here. Try to keep things as centered as I can so that I get as much clamping force there as I can. There we go. There we go. Got a little squeeze out too even. Alright, so now we can leave that in there to dry, and that shim has been filled, which puts us nearing the next steps, which will be probably getting ready to, well, once we trim that and get that nice and cleaned up, I think we'll be ready to put the back on. I think so. So we'll bring you back for that next. Okay, so in the meantime, while we wait for that glue to dry, one of the other pieces we have to do is, this neck blank is really nice, but it's a little bit narrow for the headstock. So what I'm going to do is cut a couple of pieces to shim this out a little bit. So I think I have a piece that'll work here. This will probably be okay. It basically just needs to be about, I think about a ½ an inch wider on either side. It shouldn't be too tough to accomplish. As soon as I work out where my thick enough parts are here, we'll slap a couple of, this is traditional, this is how Gibson did it too. They just slapped on a couple of shimmy stocks, and that was what it took. So what I'm going to do is get a nice flat face here somehow. In fact, this width is plenty for the size of the shim, so I'm just going to cut a couple of pieces off. I'm going to cut a piece off that's about that long, and then I'm going to rip a bit off that'll be the shim piece. So I haven't explained what I'm doing, but I figured out what I'm doing, I think. Or I'm going to wreck something. One of the two situations will occur. So what I want is a little bit of extra. So we're going to make it about 3/4 of an inch wide here. Something rough. Yeah, roughly 3/4 of an inch wide. We'll set our fence to about that. And then it'll be wide enough to make our parts from, our shim from. Just set this up, run it a couple of times. And go the other way. Now these two pieces are big enough to go right there and still have, we'll go this way, sorry. Go right there, and there's still enough meat on it to get it to fit beautifully. Because I know by the time you get down here we won't need this wing. Yeah, so we'll just get the wing on this way. So I'm gonna cut off a little bit at each end of this. Cut off a little right there. Cut off a little bit right there. And those will be our final sizes. Now, we'll put our thicker side right here. That will buy us just about enough to shim this whole area here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the vise, and I'm going to plane off this little dip that's going on here. We'll get those out of the way. So I'm going to come over here to this vise, I think. And just set them in there both together, mirror one another. And then when I plane, I can plane one direction on this. Oh, maybe I can, maybe not. They might get in each other's way, we'll see. Take our nifty plane from Dave, and I'm going to start here in the middle because there's a dip, and I'd rather remove more from the thicker end than the thinner end. There we go. That's much better. And then we'll put this one on the same side. That one's good and smooth already, good and flat. Okay, we're going to take this part, take this and make it the wings. Let that glue dry, and I'll go in and eat lunch. We've got a bunch of glue drying, so I'm going to see how this is doing. That looks pretty good, actually. Yeah, that's pretty good. We'll call that damn near good, damn near perfect. And we'll come back after lunch and flush that nice and get the next step on that piece. Cool. All right, back after this. All right, we're back from lunch. This glue is definitely dry. I think we'll trim it. Get it trimmed flush here. And then I was also trimming the wood shim that was underneath there. Good. Needed it. And we'll work up to the next steps. Okay, so that's got to get cleared up just a little better than it is. But overall, I'm going to call that inlay a pretty good success. We're going to come after that a little bit and make it smooth. think will be fine. That came out pretty good. I'll bring it up to the camera here so you can see it. We'll just gently release you. And I'll bring this up to you guys so you can see. There we go. Pretty good. Not too bad. It's still a little proud. There's a little bit of glue you can see over here yet, but overall, I'm pretty pleased, and that'll polish up nicely. So we'll prepare for the remaining steps here. I've almost decided on something. This has been bothering me for a few weeks. So the electronics kit that I got is supposed to be right for the guitar, for the 335. And traditionally in the 64s, all the electronics were fed through these F-holes here. Problem is, the modern electronics kit that I have, the F-hole is too skinny. It's way too skinny to fit the potentiometers through here. So I have a decision to make. I can buy new hardware, which would be another 80, 90 bucks. I could, and I'm not even certain that they'd still fit through these holes. My F-holes are, as far as I can tell, period correct. So then there's the next option, another option, is to, well, in 67, I was able to play around with a 67, and where the pickup hole is for the bridge, in 67, they cut all the way through the center block, literally all the way through it, and there's a big old, it's like a giant hole, access point, to run all of to fish everything through that hole, through that pickup. You pop the pickup out and all the electronics can come out through that hole. That's a bit of a departure from the 64, because the 64 wasn't done that way. But the decision I have to make is whether that's an acceptable departure or not. And I think it might be. I'm leaning towards that. Another choice would be you have this on this way and you cut a hole in the back and put an access plate. But I think that is too far of a departure for my liking. So I'm not going to do that. That's not even an option in my book. So the idea of cutting it out at the pickup hole is not a bad thought, I suppose. It's only a 3-year departure, which is better than a non-existent departure, a departure that was never done. I'm looking for my mold. Hey, it's right here on the ground, right in front of me. So what I'm gonna have to do is put this little guy, hopefully it'll fit in the mold still like it should. It should. There should be a sweet spot where it drops right the heck in. Oh, probably goes the other way. It's not completely symmetrical. Yeah. There's a pinch there. Okay, it's pinching because these things, I think it's safe to lop those little guys off at this point, at least a bit closer. That's what I'm gonna do. Just take it over here. Now it should go in a little easier. Yes, yes it will. Just coax it down into this mold here real quick. Alright. Then I can take my cutting guide here that I made up, and we can place these together. Now I can at least draw where this pickup is destined to go. And then I can work out where my access hole or access port needs to be cut in. Okay. Oh, it's only about 1/4 of an inch or so from the edge, so you'll see here, I'll hold it up. That pickup is going to come out, that mortise for the pickup is going to come very close to that anyway. So that alone gives me a little bit of assurance that tonally I don't think I'm going to have a huge impact by cutting that out. It's a fairly small intrusion. Tricky. So what I'll do is we'll take this, we'll take our square, we'll mark out. I'm just going to make this one little pocket fully squared, like so. And I don't know, I need to double check this. I'm 90% sure that, in fact I'm pretty positive, nothing actually screws to this pickup wise. It's the surrounding plate that screws down, and then everything mounts to the surrounding plate. So I think we're okay to pop that out. Okay, so that was the commitment point right there. So now we're definitely going to do it this way. But now we can take our chisel and just gently rank on this to remove as much of this waste as we dare. The second time I do this saw, or do this guitar, we'll do this before it's been glued into this form. I'm going slow here because it's kind of, the grain is pulling under, so I want to make it fairly smooth. Take a nice cleaning pass here. Okay, now we'll flip it over and make the other side nice and square. Pare this down nicely. And we're going to grab a narrower chisel here so I can pare it without a mallet real fast. And a nice sharp chisel does wonders. And yes, I am cutting into my bench. Oh, the horror. So, there we have it. That is the notch. My decision on how I'm going to put the electronics in has just been made. And we have just determined our front and back. Because, yep. Or if we're going to make a lefty. So, that works out all right. Yeah, it's a pretty good piece right here anyway. Yep, so that I believe, makes this the back, this the front. I think, I dare say it, we're very, very close to being ready to put the back on this thing. All right, so that means we are set to, I have to figure out how to clamp this. So I had at one point thought, oh, I could put it in the vacuum bag, and I probably still could, but I'm a little concerned about, well, about collapsing things too much. Get some of this clutter out of my way, and we'll bring you back when I'm ready to try to put the back onto this thing. So this isn't really a dry fit so much as just a check, double check, and make sure. So I've got the clamping thing I made, basically the negative or the female version of the body shape, the contours, and then some neoprene to go on top of that. And then here's the back that goes on like this. And there's holes here to go with my alignment holes. And so what I'm hoping I can do is align this with those holes, place this on top, and get all those, drive this dowel through, and hopefully everything lines up where it's supposed to. This is pretty much the first time we're going to see whether this worked or not. Try to put that dowel through a little, see if we can't find the mating hole for it there. Pretty close. It's not great. It's not exactly the right spot, but it's not bad. So we'll tap that one through here. There. It's actually reasonably good. That's good. Okay. I don't know if I want to do the bag. I think it's safer not to. This is just working out my own fear and process and comfort zones, and having an itch does not help me concentrate. I think I need to do this out of the bag, which means I'm going to need to make a call real quick so that I can get across this good firm clamping pressure. Let's see, how far in do you guys make it? Pretty far in, not great, but pretty far in. Looks like I can get it good and tight all around. There's no area where the bending of the top contour or the outer shell contour is defeating me in any way, which is great. Just need to figure out how I'm going to hold on to that thing.